Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Lena and this is Library of Diamonds, and in today's video we have a WIP and CHAT. Right now I'm working on Fushimi Inari from Yume Art. Well, by Yume Art from Diamond Art Club. And yeah, this is the image, like the complete image. I started this one on August 4th, which was last Monday, right? I think. And right now so far, I'm not doing this one. To begin with, I'm not doing this diamond painting the typical way I do it. I typically start from the bottom, and then once I do like 2 rows, I turn it upside down and work from the third row down. But with this one, since the focal part, like I feel that the focal part is this, and you know, all of this is a lot of kind of like the same thing over and over, you know, diamond painting, because it's more like linear blocking and such. So I decided to start this one and do it a bit different. Here I go yawning. I'm sorry. So I decided to start with a row from the bottom up, like all of this, well, not row, more like a column, like all of this first column. And then I did the columns. My plan was to go like you know, from the side and then from here and then again from go down. But what I did was one column, and then I completed this row, then the second row, then the third row. So right now I am in this little space over here, and I am like, what I have not done yet is like this and this, like all of these kind of inside part. So that's what I'm doing right now. I think I'm gonna finish this row, and afterwards I'm going to be moving probably like a thin column over here to leave the kitty, like not work on the kitty, and then another row here so that I frame like the girl and the kitty. I don't know, that's my plan. Things can change. But yes, hello, how are you? Let me just take a sip of my coffee because, I don't know, just because I want to take a sip of my coffee. I'm gonna try not to you know, not to pour my coffee into my diamond painting, but I am not promising anything. Oh, I'm already yawning. I'm already yawning. Guys, I woke up today really late, and at the beginning I didn't know why it was like really late. Is not really late. It's just that these past couple of weeks I've been able to wake up like at 7:30ish, 8ish a.m. and I've been able to be productive and, you know, do everything that I want, like work wise and hobby wise and everything. But today I woke up and I was like, oh my god, it's 9:40 something. It was like almost 10 a.m. when I woke up, and I was kind of struggling to you know, I was trying to find why that happened, but I don't know why I never thought about, oh, when did you go to bed? Because turns out I just remembered like 3 minutes ago that I went to bed almost at 4 a.m. So that makes perfect sense. So yeah, I have not done yet all my like work things. They're not urgent or anything. I just like to do them the earliest I can in the morning, just so that I don't have to worry about them for the entirety of the day, you know? And there are not many things that I have to do. Things run pretty smoothly and they just flow, you know? So yeah, there's no rush to it. It's just that I just like to complete those things as soon as possible in the day. But not today, because I really wanted to get this video out. And also something that I'm going to be doing during the day, throughout the day, is do some batch recording, because there are some videos that I have been wanting to record for the last 2 weeks now, but I have not been able to. And saying not being able to would be technically a lie, because I would have been able to. It's just that I procrastinated too much, and by the time that I was ready to record, I couldn't anymore. Because I don't allow my boyfriend to watch me like do anything regarding diamond painting, regarding the channel, no, not diamond painting, but the channel in particular. Diamond painting, like, of course he takes pictures of me with my works and everything, but I am very extremely self-conscious about it, so I don't allow him to to partake in anything, like absolutely anything from my channel. Actually, I woke up and I sent him a message like, oh, good morning, and like, you know, telling him, oh, I really do need to do some batch recording today because I couldn't in the weekend, because that was my original plan for the weekend, to try to batch record some stuff, but at the end I couldn't. And he was like, it was really funny because he said like, oh, that's so cool. And then the message that followed was, although I have no idea what you're talking about, you know, because he doesn't know that I have a channel. Wink, wink. Of course he does, but we don't talk about Bruno, basically. We don't talk about my channel because it doesn't exist. But yeah, so I was going to record, batch record on Saturday, but then Saturday, I don't remember. I didn't wake up as early. Probably I woke up like 8:30-ish or something. But during Saturday, like we had breakfast and we just laid in bed like together, and we were just like cuddling, you know, just having the morning to ourselves. And then around noon I started to diamond paint, but since I had a section, like I had already started a section, I just wanted to finish that section and then I was going to start recording. But as soon as I was doing that, like I brought all of the things that I wanted to use to record those videos, and my boyfriend was like, oh, I'm doing this, would you care to bring me blah blah blah, because he was at the other shop, because he on the weekends goes to the shop to work as well, like his own thing. And I was like, yeah, sure, of course. And I went and got him what he needed, and we just, you know, I just stayed there and watched him do his stuff, and I was like on the phone just scrolling and playing my little games. And then we were like, oh, it's almost 4 and we have not eaten anything, so we went to have lunch, and then we came back home, but we just took a nap. You know, the day just flew by and I didn't record anything. And so I was like, oh, it's fine. Typically, he also goes to the shop on Sundays if he has like a current project, which he does right now. So I imagined that I didn't really care that much to if I was not recording on Saturday, because in my mind, I was like, oh, it's probable that he's going to go to the shop again tomorrow. So when he goes, I'm going to just do that. And the next morning on Sunday, he told me that he was going to go like later in the day, like into the evening, around 5-ish or 6 p.m. So I was like, oh yeah, that's perfect. I can like record in those hours, and in the meantime I just can diamond paint. And so I you know, when you just do nothing together, or do things like each one doing their thing on their space and having basically a lot of fun with it, that's what we typically do mainly. And that's what we did. Like we cuddled for a bit, and then we watched videos, and then we had like breakfast, and then I started diamond painting, and he was in his computer just, you know, doom scrolling and stuff, and the whole day was like that. And then he ended up not going to the shop, so I was like, oh well, it's fine, like it's fine. And yeah, I ended up not recording anything for also Sunday. So that's where I'm at. But the good thing is that even though I didn't record anything like I had originally planned or wanted, I did a shit ton of diamond painting. Like you cannot believe it. Like on Saturday, since we had so many things going on, I only diamond painted for about an hour. About a little bit under an hour, like 57 minutes or something. But yesterday, oh my god, yesterday I just got so locked in. I diamond painted for 6 hours, and I know that I in like a couple of weekends ago I diamond painted for 12, but that's the longest I've diamond painted, like just because, without having a challenge to do, you know, which felt amazing. Yesterday I did how many sections I did? I did 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't even remember, but I did a lot of progress yesterday. And yeah, that made me really happy. So today the focus is going to be to record because I was going to post a kitting up video of this kit last week. Actually, like, my Wednesday video for this week was going to be the challenge, and my Wednesday video for last week was going to be just kitting up this one, because I don't feel comfortable like posting videos of me working on a kit if I have not kitted it up. And since I share and upload all of my kitting ups, I don't know, that's just the way I do my channel, you know. But then my computer was acting up. Well, not acting up. It needed to be updated. I use a MacBook Air, like the first MacBook Air M1 that came out, and it's great. It's amazing, but it doesn't have a lot of storage, and I don't have outside storage. Actually, I don't save any of my videos like after I upload them and after they go live. You're gonna hate me for this if you're a fellow creator, but I just delete the videos, and it might not be the best thing, but I really don't care. I am going to start saving them in an external, like in a drive somewhere else, but for now, until I get the drive, yeah. Also, if you already are, like, if you're also a creator and you save all of your videos, is there a specific drive that you recommend or a specific size of storage? Because yeah, videos tend to be quite lengthy. Like, for example, I do like a couple of videos. Well, not a couple. I would say, well, the thing is that the computer saves the completed video, like one that I already edited and everything, and then it saves all of the files that I used for that video, and it also saves it as a file on the memory of the iMovie, because I edit in iMovie. I don't know. I don't really know computers, and that's what I think happens. So yeah. And other thing is that it comes to a point where my computer needs to be updated, and the system, whatever, says that it has like hundreds of, 150 or something gigabytes, even if I have no files at all. So it's annoying. And what I need to do when that happens is, of course, like update it and all that. But usually I forget that I need to do that, and I just start deleting things like crazy, thinking that, like, why is it not enough space, blah blah blah. So yeah. And while trying to figure out that for the seventh time, because it's something that has happened frequently, and I don't know what's with my brain, that I never remember that I need to update the system so that all that memory that is quote unquote used by the system goes down, and frees up all of my actual memory for my computer. But I started like deleting things, and I forgot that I had pretty much recorded the WIP and CHAT, the kitting up for this kit, and I deleted the clip from the computer. I deleted the clip from my phone, and since I was already like also doing like a phone cleanse thing, I also deleted the files like from your recently deleted things that delete themselves by like 30 days or something. Well, I always go and manually delete all of that. The problem was that I don't really know why I even did that, because my phone has enough has enough memory. Like, I never run into the issue of not having enough memory on my phone. Like, since I got this new phone, I've never run into that. I mostly just deleted just because I like to see more space freed up in my memory. But that was kind of a silly thing to do, I think. But yeah, I deleted that. And like a kitting up, there's no way you can re-record a kitting up video. Like, what am I gonna do? Put everything back into the baggies? And absolutely, like no, it doesn't make any sense. And I actually liked that video very, very much, because I sort of explained why this kit is so important for me. Japan and the connection that I have with my boyfriend, and that absolute amazing trip that we did to Japan 2 years ago. Let me take a sip to my coffee. And you know what? That was not planned for this WIP and CHAT. Like, I had a little list of things that I wanted to talk to you about, guys, but it didn't turn out that way. So I'm going to tell you how is that we went to Japan on like 2 years ago, and how my boyfriend's trip was planned and everything was set and ready to go. But me going was like in a span of 24 hours, like one day I was at the hospital seeing patients in the ER, crying myself out because of the panic attacks that I was having every 3 seconds. And 24 hours later, I was in the airport headed for Japan. So yeah, I really like to tell this story. I really, really love it. So let's start by saying that a few days before I traveled to Japan, my boyfriend was in Japan and my boyfriend's dad passed in his sleep. It was something, of course, absolutely unexpected. He did have some health issues, but they were not, he was not in a delicate state. He was not, like, it was very, 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 like, a shock. And my boyfriend's relationship with his family, like, it's with the family apart from his dad is a bit strained. So, there were some conflicts in there, but he didn't come back. He stayed in Japan because he was in Japan while that happens. But let's open with a little bit before that. So when I was working in a hospital, I was working at a public hospital, and public hospitals are just batshit crazy. There's always a lot of people. There's always a lack of resources. It's really, really bad, especially after COVID. Like, COVID was already starting to fade, because even if socially we saw COVID fading from 2022, by the mid 2023, it was just the beginning of it fading in hospitals. Like, we were seeing patients hospitalized for COVID and dying from it and being intubated and all that. Like, COVID was pretty much real. It was just not in the volumes that it was. So I was started to get shifted, instead of being in the COVID area, because I was a lot in that area, to the just the ER general area. And I am a general doctor, like a GP. So I was seeing all of the kind of minor urgencies and emergencies that came about. If someone was suspected to have very, very low, high blood pressure, very, very low, glucose, or very high blood pressure, like very common and everyday things, not the most critical things. That was for the specialist and for the, for the ER specialist. But that's basically what I did. And by then, my role in that hospital, with the wave of, the big pandemic, a lot of doctors that were kind of older went into a special permission for not to work, because, the lid of this fell. I need to go pick it up. So, a lot of doctors went on leave. Other doctors, unfortunately, they passed. So there was a point in the pandemic where a lot of GPs like myself were just recruited by these massive hospitals, like public hospitals. And I started working in one of them. But by the time that we're speaking, that is mid-August, it's almost a year ago. It was August the 17th or the 16th or something like that, when everything, like when the big Japan thing happened. By that time I was like in the ER. What was I saying? Oh yeah, since we're contracted just like for the urgency of it, by the time that, the big pandemic thing wave was coming down, a lot of doctors came back to their posts and came back to their typical jobs. So many of us, like GPs that were pretty much, recruited for that, we were left sometimes without a job, because we were given temporary contracts only, like contracts for 2 weeks, for a month. Like it was like that. Like every 15 days I was having to sign up a contract stating what I was, like, where I was going to work, how, where, everything. Like, and I was being changed from hospital to hospital, from clinic to clinic, from city to city. Sometimes I didn't even stay in this city. So it was very tricky for me. And this is relevant because of that, it was really tricky for me to ask for vacations, because if I was needed somewhere and I said no, you were added into this list that you were kind of like, you had a few chances. And if you said you couldn't do specific shifts or specific contract, like a couple of times or several times, they were able to just say goodbye, like, bye, you can't use, you are not doing what you're being told to do, so bye. So yeah, it was very, very rough. So that was in August, where I was like in this hospital. But a couple of months before, here in Mexico, during the summer months, there's something called the hot cell, and it goes between May and June and such. And my boyfriend was looking for plane tickets for Japan in those dates, and he was asking me like, oh, when are you going to have vacations? And I was like, dude, you don't get it. I don't get vacations. Like, I get them after having completed I don't know how many rounds of contracts. And since I was not even sure of when I was going to get a contract, it was impossible for me to kind of plan vacations or any of that. And so yeah, he was like, oh well. And the thing is that we actually wanted to go because my boyfriend's best friend was in Japan. He like graduated uni. He's a little bit younger than us. And he graduated uni, and he was going to go to Japan to study Japanese for a whole year. And my boyfriend has been to Japan countless times, like 8 times. Like, that was going to be the 7th time that he was going to go, like the one he was planning. And he told me like, oh, I want you to know Japan, and I want you to go, and I also want us to go while my best friend is there, to just do things together and such. And I was really, really excited, and I was really hoping that I was going to be able to do that. But, things, life stuff. So when he was planning, when he was purchasing the tickets, I was like, you know what, just purchase them. And it's a few months from now. So if I end up getting vacations, or if I end up getting, permission or anything like that, then we can just add myself to the trip that you're already planning. Let me check if I'm recording, because that's been a hassle lately. Oh, great. Yes, it is. Perfect. I'm not going to touch it. Like, I'm not going to even touch it. Oh, I finished the section. I didn't know I was going to actually finish it, but it's great. Yes, it's fantastic. Let's move. I'm going to move. Oh, the tricky thing will be that, to make sure that you are in frame. Wait a second. Okay, I think that works, right? Because I'm gonna do like this. Yeah, that's kind of in the middle. Kind of in the middle. And in this one, I am not sectioning like super strictly. I typically measure my sections out like Katie does, but I have not been doing that with this one in particular. But where was I? Where do I get, like, what can I do? Maybe I can do, you know what? I'm gonna do a small section, because I want to finish this quickly to continue batch recording, because I don't like to put this aside when a section is open. So yeah, I'm just gonna do this line. Yeah, perfect. I just need to cut the, okay, where was I? My boyfriend was planning. Oh, yeah. So really, the opportunity for me never came. I never got like info or insights from if I was going to be having, vacations anytime soon. And so he just went. He went to Japan. He went on, what was it? I think it was August 3rd or 4th or something like that. And of course, I just kept on working and all that. For this time, I was already I was already fed up with this type of work, where every 2 weeks I was being shifted to different hospitals, different cities even. And also they were being tricky with the contracts, where it was a thing where there was no stability whatsoever. Like, I could not plan in advance for anything, because it all depended on me not knowing where I was going to be in the next 2 weeks. So I was being very anxious. I was being very stressed out. Like, I swear that I was like as soon as I woke up, the first thing that my brain went to was to remember that I had to go to work, that I had to face the ER with, face patients where I was not able to help them because there were no resources, because I was being the face of the hospital where, yeah, and it was unfair basically. I was just very, very stressed out and anxious. And of course, I was coming up from burnout, from COVID, from doing 36, 48-hour shifts every 2 days. And that was only just dying. So I think that my body finally caught up with me. And if you add to that the fact that I have a couple of chronic illnesses, so for me, it was work and sleep, because I could not do anything else. My body would not allow it, because it ended up so pooped every single day, both mentally and physically. It would be hard to explain how exactly it felt, but let me just tell you, I am someone who, at least I think I am very resilient, and I am very, I try my best all the time. I try to always give my 300%. Let me take another sip of my coffee, because just remembering all of this is making my head a little bit achy. Did I took my, yeah, I did take my meds already. And so if you add to that, I got the news from my boyfriend's dad, a couple of days, I think it was 2 or 3 days before everything went to, SHIT. I remember that I was waking up, immediately crying. I cried while I was showering, while I was eating, while I was dressing up. And that last day that I was working, which I don't remember if it was the 16th or the 17th. I think it was the 16th or the 15th. I don't know. It was mid-August. I remember waking up with this very strange feeling in my chest, this imminent sensation that everything was going to go wrong, that I was not meant to be. I don't know how to explain it. If you've ever gotten this feeling before, it just didn't fit. Things just felt wrong. And I remember that on the Uber to my job, my tears just started to fall down my face. I could not control them. I was just crying and crying and crying, and my heart was skipping a beat all the time, and it was horrible. I got to work, I checked in, I started to see patients, and I was in the ER. My job was to see the people who were in the ER that were not in a bed yet or in a room yet. My job was to go there and see if there was anything missing, if there were labs missing, if there was a medication missing, pretty much check how they had progressed since they entered until that moment, and see if there was anything that was pending for them to go to a room or to be discharged, whatever the reason was, or whatever the next step for them was. I remember the first patient. I checked them, and then after I checked them and did all of those things, with the patient, and filled all the forms that needed to be filled, things that were missing basically, I went to a little back room that we used to make our notes, our medical notes, the progress notes. And as soon as I entered that little room and I sat down with the patient's chart, I started to cry. And not only cry, I started to sob. And I could not control it. I was losing my mind. And at that time, I was the only one in that little room. That little room, usually there's a couple of us, doing the same thing. But for some reason, there was only me there. And I was like, oh my God, no, I need to see a gazillion patients. I cannot be crying right now. I need to work. And I just finished the note. I composed myself and then went back out to see the next patient. And that happened with 3 patients in a row. I saw the patient, and oh my God, now that I'm thinking about this, I can just imagine how my patients were just looking at me with my face all red, you know, and puffy from crying like 3 minutes before, and coming to them and, oh, hello, how are you? My name is Dr. Blah, blah, blah. I'm here to, you know, do the follow-up, whatever. I cannot imagine what they should have been thinking, or what they were thinking in that moment, seeing me like that. I really don't know. But yeah, I remember that I with the third patient, I was with the patient, finishing telling him, you know, directions and stuff that I needed to say. And I just, again, my eyes, water, like waterfalls, like on their own. I was not even able to control the tears. And, you know, to get to this point, it had been a couple of months that I was already considering whether or not I wanted to leave that job and find something different. And I had been actually looking actively for other jobs, because it's something that I had also told my boyfriend, like, this is like, I cannot with this, like, this is not sustainable. I'm feeling like this and like that very often, sometimes more than not. But that day was my breaking point. That day I was not able to even control myself. And I said, oh, and that day actually I had like my regular shift, and then I had to cover the night shift. Like, I had double shift that day. And I remember that my schedule was from 2 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. and then I was to go from 9:30 p.m. to, I don't even know, but it was not even 4 p.m. when I was already like, no, I can't do this. Like, it feels wrong. Like, it doesn't feel right. Like, this whole thing doesn't feel right. I knew that I needed to leave, to go. That was just like a very instinctual thing for me to just feel and do. And so I basically, I went to the coordinator of the shift, and I told him, I didn't tell him exactly what it was, but I told him, like, I need to go. There's a personal like thing that's going on and I need to go. I wasn't going to tell him like I am breaking down every 3 seconds, because I don't know why. And he was like, oh yeah, just go to you know, to HR and tell them, and they're gonna make you your, you know, the document that it says that you're gonna leave early and whatever. And I went, and like, by then I was a little bit composed, but not by a lot, just a little bit composed. And when I entered the office of HR, the you know, the HR girly, or the person who was in charge of that, was like, oh, doctor, what happened? And I just started to bawl, like, I was gonna start speaking in Spanish again, like tears. And she was like, oh, don't worry about it, you can just leave, just give me this and this information, and I end up filling your paperwork and whatever. I left. Like, I lasted 2 hours that day on my shift, and I had to leave. And on top of that, like, my boyfriend was not home. I knew that my boyfriend was having a rough time because of, you know, of course he was having a very hard time. And he's a very, very extremely reserved person. So he didn't even tell, you know, he went to visit his best friend that was studying over there, but he didn't even tell his best friend. Like, to this date, I don't even know if he has told his best friend. Like, he is very, very, very extremely reserved. There are things, personal things from him and, you know, his family dynamics and all that he just told me, like, very recently. And yeah, that's just the way he is. He's a very reserved person. And I knew that he was alone in this. I knew, like, it was like all of it was crumbling down on me. I felt so, it was everything at once. So I remember that I got into my Uber. I came back home. It was about 4-ish p.m. when I messaged my boyfriend, and I told him, like, I left work and I don't think I'm gonna come back. Like, in that day, I already knew that I was not going to come back, but I didn't inform them. I just said that I was leaving for personal reasons, but I already had made my decision. It's just that I didn't quit right there and then, but I did in a way. Like, I just left. I was gonna do the whole thing, but, you know, things came up. And I told him, and I was like, I'm really sorry. I knew that I told you that I was going to wait until I found something to, to have a secured income and whatnot and blah, blah, blah. And, that was, I think, the last thing that was on his mind. He just told me that it was fine and that it was good. And I remember jokingly telling him, like, oh, now that I don't have a job and I have nothing to do, what if I went to Japan and meet with you there? And it was like a joke. Like, he was like, oh, that would be so cool, blah, blah, blah. But it was nothing like planned or serious or anything. So I remember we had like that video call, like, because I sent him a message and then we had a video call. And after that video call, I started doing like my things. I remember that I was running another small business where I handcrafted some bags, and I had someone, I had I had an order, and I had to complete that order because I had promised to hand in that order by, I don't know, the weekend or something. And I just said, like, you know what, I'm going to relax. I'm going to watch some YouTube. I'm going to just work on this order and think about stuff and, try to calm myself down and give myself today so that I can just process everything. And then I remember it was about 10 p.m. or something, like my time, when my boyfriend, was it 10 p.m.? 10 p.m. Yeah, I think it was like 10 p.m. Something along those lines. It was already at night. And my boyfriend called me again. Like, we video chatted for a little bit, and we were just joking, and I was just being there. Like, we were just spending some time together. And I just remember noticing that he was like very busy in the computer, like do. And he was like, you have like a US visa, right? And I was like, yes. Why? No, just because, no, nothing. And he just kept like, and I was like, what's going on? And he was like, I have been looking for flights, and I was looking at this flight and this goes for these and these, blah, 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 blah. And he was just telling me about all of these plans that he was already making. And I was like, dude, I just quit my job. I'm not going to be having money. Like, I was already struggling because a whole other thing with money. And he was like, and who's telling you that you're gonna pay? I'm gonna pay. And I was like, oh my God, you're crazy. Absolutely not. And by then he kind of explained to me, like, look, I have like, I think I talked about this in one of my last videos, but he has like points when he uses a specific credit card, and those points he can change them for flights or for points for purchase flights. I don't really know exactly how the whole thing is, but he was like, no, look, your plane would be this and that and blah blah blah, and it would be free, and we only have to pay like some what's the word in English? The airport fees and blah, like, and yeah, he was like, I just got your flight, and your flight leaves tomorrow at 7. You fly to Mexico City, and from Mexico City you fly to Japan. And it was oh, I'm sorry, I have an alarm. Stop. It was insane. I remember that I told him, like, dude, I have an order to complete that I promised that I would deliver like by this weekend. I only have like half of it done. I need to work for at least another 5 or 6 hours on this bag to be able to complete it. I would need to make up my bags, to make up my suitcase, and make up everything. Like, why? You're crazy. And he was like, well, if you don't want to come, but the ticket is purchased. And I was like, oh my God, this dude is just nuts. He is crazy. He's crazy. And basically that night I didn't sleep because we finished the call, like we finished the video call that we were having. He sent me all of the information of my flight, of my ticket, and then I spent the next like 30 minutes doing my suitcase. I just got like a small suitcase, like a carry-on suitcase, because I'm a very simple person. So I was just like, okay. Oh, and also he only bought me like a one-way ticket. He didn't got me my coming back ticket. So I was like, what's going on? What if we cannot get like a cheap enough ticket, or if they're extremely expensive and then we cannot afford it and blah blah blah. And he didn't care. He didn't care about that. He was like, I have enough credit on my credit card. If it comes to that, we'll use it. And I was like, yeah, he was just, I think he really wanted me there, to say the least, right? So yeah, I did my suitcase in like 40-ish, 30-ish minutes, and I had everything ready. I started to clean like crazy the apartment just so that I wouldn't leave anything out, because I knew that I was going to go and that I was going to be in Japan for at least the same amount of time that he had left in Japan. And when he has gone to Japan, he typically doesn't go for like a week or something. He books like 5-6 weeks. He's been there up to almost 3 months, I believe. So this trip for him was 5 weeks, and he had already been gone for almost 2 of those weeks. So I knew that I was going to be gone to at least or close to 3 weeks as well. And I was like, I put everything on the freezer and all that. I remember that later on, like a couple of hours later, he was like, my brother's gonna go and pick up Queenie to take care of her like tomorrow at noon and blah 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 blah. And yeah, I didn't sleep because I had to complete the order that I had to complete. My flight was going to leave Mexico to Mexico City from my city at 5 or 6 or something like that. And so by 2 p.m., because the airport is really far from my apartment, by 2 p.m., I was already on an Uber on my way to the airport. At 4 p.m., I was already in the terminal, like sipping a coffee, reading a book, like in awe that I was going to be in Japan in a matter of hours. And so, yeah, it was a very unexpected trip. And I was really, really amazed on how inexpensive it can really be. Because right now, because of the, there was some sort of devaluation of yen, that even for Mexican currency, like Mexican peso, it was like things were not expensive. Like I remember that I got to the airport at Japan. It was very early in the morning, and my boyfriend went and picked me up, but he was in another city entirely. Like he was in Nagoya, I think, and I arrived at Narita Airport, which is like closer to Tokyo. So he had to take a couple of trains to get to me and all that. So I remember that I got to the airport around 7 a.m. and I, a very wacky sleep. I was very tired, and I was like, I think I'm gonna, I'm already splurging, and I know that I'm already going to spend all of the 3 pesos that I have left here in Japan. But you know what? I'm in Japan. It's fine. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go and grab a coffee. I need it. And I saw a Starbucks. And the typical beverage that I got in Mexico, which was around, because of the difference in currencies and all that, I think it was about $3.50-ish, like what I would have paid in Mexico. But in Japan, I only paid like a third of that because of the currency change, because of it also is a different price. And I was like, oh, okay. That was one of the first things that amazed me. And also taking into consideration that this was a price that I paid in an airport, and typically airports are more expensive. So I was very, very surprised by that. And then later down the line, when we went to, I think the most expensive meal that we had, and that we were like, oh, we're going to splurge on this meal. We spent like $30-ish each, something along those lines. And it was like a shabu shabu buffet type of thing. And we went there like 2 or 3 times. But like the most marvelous, delicious ramen that I've ever tried that was like $5, like $5 or $6. Like it was really, really cheap. And yeah, that was crazy. That happened. And this time around, this was actually part of what I wanted to talk about WIP and CHAT, that we have been looking at planes, at dates, and all of that, and we need him to get vacations from his job. He started in his new job at the beginning of November, so we think that after the first couple of weeks of November, like the last 2 weeks of November, that's when he could potentially get his vacations. But he's still gonna ask, because he says that in his job they're very flexible and they really like him. Like they really appreciate him, because my husband to be, he's such a good worker. I'm just so happy to be with him. Okay, that was not the point. What was the point? I forgot what was the point. What was the point? Oh yeah, he told me that a coworker of his suddenly got into the office one day, like 30-ish minutes after his start shift, and I was like, oh yeah, I was in I was in HR, and I'm going on vacation like next week. Like that's how easy it's, like potentially he could get vacations. We're just waiting because like legally they are, like, vacations are mandatory after a year that you work in a place, but each place has their own things that they follow. So I told him to ask when was the first, like when was a time frame for him to pick up his his vacations and such. So we have been seeing that. We've been looking at planes, and he works with Japanese people, because he works in a Japanese place site. What's the word? I forgot. It's not a factory. How do you say empresa? How do you say empresa? Empresa in English. Oh, that's so silly. Company. Wow. He works in I'm so sorry. He works in a Japanese company, and he has like Japanese coworkers. And he was like, one of his coworkers told him that his parents run kind of like a bed and breakfast thing over there in Japan, like close to Tokyo. And that if we decided to go, or if we wanted to go, because he was also talking with his coworker about this, about us wanting to go, he offered, like, his coworker offered him to, for us to stay in that place for free, which I'm like, what? And that's what's making us even more excited, because if we think of this very, very, straightforward, we were looking at the points that he has in his credit card, and he can purchase one ticket, like one round ticket, and one-way ticket. So we would only have to pay for one ticket, like one coming back ticket from, instead of 4 tickets, like go and back times 2, it would only be one of those. And on top of that, if, of course, we would like to still provide some sort of payment, but, even if it was like at a discount instead of being free, that's already more money that you're saving over there. And we know that the exchange rate and everything is still kind of similar than when we went last year, 2 years ago. We were kind of calculating and seeing and everything, and it is very possible. And it is also very, very possible for it not to be very expensive at all. So we are very, very excited for that. Again, it's nothing that's set in stone, but we really, really want to. And also, I think that my boyfriend is going to try to do his best for us to go, because since he first started to get obsessed with Japan, up until last year, he had been going to Japan at least one time every single year. Like 2024 was the only and the first year that he didn't go to Japan, which is insane to think about. But yeah, and it's really cool. And in that trip specifically, Fushimi Inari was the best. My words are not, like, my words get combined and confused. Fushimi Inari was the first place that we went to. So, as I said, it's a very special place. You know, it's a very special place for us. It was the first place that we went to, and it was a kind of like what I said, it was like our kind of worlds coming together. Like me seeing how much Japan was meaningful for him, and also me going for the first time. And after both of us coming from such like rough situations, of course, there are very different situations. You cannot compare, you know, one of your parents pass with the stress and the anxiety, but we were living different situations, but they were both very hard situations. And being in those situations, both of us, and being together again in this place that is so meaningful for him, and kind of being like a balm to the heart for each other. I think that's why I just love this painting so much. Like, it kind of, I see this painting and it just makes me think of all of this, like in a flash, you know, not in specific details, but just like it gives me the feeling of that whole thing. Yeah, I always get sappy with this type of things, but yeah, it was fun to talk about that really random but very needed and magical trip that we had 2 years ago to Japan. Very unexpected, very out of nowhere. It was fantastic. It was really, really cool. But yeah, guys, that was it for today's video. I hope that you enjoyed watching me, like, I did some decent diamond painting, right? I think I did a lot of diamond painting today. But thank you so much for being here and for listening to me, you know, telling you a little bit of the story of when I went to Japan, how it came to be, and how meaningful it ended up being. That was it for today's video. I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day. And as always, don't forget to keep on diamond painting. Bye bye.